Warm it up. Yeah. What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Going Over. I am your neighborhood friendly promoter. I'm your neighborhood friendly coach trainer and 43-year-old professional wrestler still. Damn it, I can't believe it. The sty still in the damn eye. This might be a medical issue. Zack Primetime Reeb, and I'm joined alongside my podcast partner, the 7-foot wrecking ball, Paul Isadora. Paul, what's up?
What's up, man? So, man, getting close to the old holiday season here. So, creeping in on it. Just got back from a holiday party, so I've got my Santa Claus shirt on. So just but man, we got to keep knocking these out, man. We got to find the time. We got to get it knocked out. Early in the day, we were getting the finishing touches put on the wrestling school. So exciting time, man.
Bad news, man. I hate to be the bearer of the bad news. Somebody didn't follow the calendar because, ladies and gentlemen, Christmas has come and gone in the world of Going Over. I love your shirt, but ladies and gentlemen, it's the 30th, and we're getting the year of 2024 has come to an end. Happy New Year. Drink responsibly, drive safe, and if you need Zack Primetime Reeb, the world's greatest designated driver, to pick you up if you're within a 20-mile radius, give me a call. My number's on all my social media. I'll come pick your ass up and talk some shit and get you home safely.
That's it, man. I'm on the same page. It hasn't been like a I don't know, not a conscious effort, but it's just, I think, my drinking days are behind me. So my New Year's will definitely be spent playing cards and the like, just having a good time watching movies or something. But yeah, so I'm in the same boat, man. Phone's always on. We talked to Drake Nelson about a time that he called me in distress, 4 hours east of here. Told me it was, hey man, I just had to tell the guy that I was riding with that I was going to exhaust all my options in my phone, and I know that you have a family and you probably have no interest in driving 4 hours to pick me and my buddy up and then drive us back home. But I figured I'd call you, and I just was like, yep, see you in 4 hours, man. So we talked about that on the last episode. I'm just, for some reason, I'm that friend that, for some reason, I don't know, like I feel like it's pay it forward,
do it responsibly.
Do great things. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Would have done it irresponsibly back in the day is the best part.
You and me both, man.
So the school is the ring. You got the ring in the building.
It's all set up, man. It's in there. It's all set up, ready to rock and roll. Just the first. That's where we're gonna get it rolling. And we talk about responsibility, and so that's gonna be the first test, right? Hey, can you come to wrestling practice on New Year's Day? So I've worked plenty of jobs where you got people that are in positions of power and are supposed to be responsible enough to be there to open the door first thing in the morning, and they're calling you and, oh, hey, I'm almost there, and it's like, no, really, where are you right now? Like, where exactly are you standing? Oh, I'm standing in my apartment. It's like, all right, well, you better get your ass here, and it better be quick, and otherwise there's going to be consequences. So hopefully we have some guys that are dialed in and ready to rock and roll come the first.
Yeah, that's a good thing. I remember when we were in Oroville, everybody had a key, man. Brandon Humphrey had a key. Manny Roa had a key. Propane had a key. I mean, you name it, everyone had a key. And since we've been over here, Jesse and Rayshawn, because they were working with so much. And Jesse ain't been around since the knee injury. Get well, Jesse. He just had his second knee injury. I spent 4 hours 2 weeks ago in Calusa. I spent a little time at the casino, but I spent 4 hours. I didn't get to see him, but he was in that second surgery. So, the surgery went well, and the knee is rehabbing, and he's going to start getting ready on that. So I'm pretty excited about that. Rayshawn had the key. Rayshawn's been the most reliable, responsible student that I've had in maybe ever, man. Arsonist is a great student too, but Rayshawn, man, is just he's always there, man. And he's actually heading to LA, and he's going to start working with Rikishi and Knox Pro and a couple other things. So, he's still going to come back for shows. But man, I spent so much time with that kid in the last 2 or 3 years. It's just been and that's the part about the business, man, is you get all these kids and they're here on a journey. You know what I mean? They're here on a journey. I know I'm going to get to my topic here pretty soon, but we just started talking shit about what we were, and we're kind of on this topic now of a journey. But I'm going to get to my topic, because my topic today, and I said I'm going to shoot it on you. I'm going to shoot it all over you, Paul. Oh, God, are you enjoying this? That's why I got a sty in my eye, I would assume. But I wanted the topic, and it's got the F word in it, because we always say this F word, and there's so many different types of what I'm going to say. And my topic today was, I wanted to talk about slow the fuck down. Slow down. And it's got so many different meanings, and that I want to get into today. Slowing down in the ring. So we know what's going on, so we don't get fucking injured, and what many people call botching, blowing spots. Slowing down on the microphone or in a promo, man, when you're talking or an interview, slowing down. We hear so many times, like we always say, I think. I say I think a lot on this show, and it pisses me off that I say it, and I catch myself after, not before. And that's because I'm talking too fast, and I'm not slowing down and letting everything digest. But one word I really noticed, and I almost tried to use it as a catchphrase one time, is "you see." And it's one of my big pet peeves, but it's also become very humorous to me when I'm watching promos, because these guys are talking so fast during their promo that they're not giving themselves time to say, Zach Primetime Reeb is coming out to that ring tonight. And everything. So right there, they would be like, Zach Primetime Reeb's coming out to that ring tonight. You see? And it's just such a common word that we use when we're going too fast. So going too fast, when I say slow the fuck down, slowing the fuck down also goes with the storyline too. Slow it down. Let these fans eat up and digest some of these things. So I just wanted to get your take. First off, let's talk about in ring. It could be training, it could be at the show. So we hear it so many times in the business, and it's just right there in between my ears. I hear it when I'm sleeping. Slow the fuck down. What's your take on slow the fuck down when we're talking about the training, which could be I want to rush to get through the training too. There's so many in this business. We need to slow down. So let me hear what you think about that topic.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely a case of we need to do that in all of those aspects that you just talked about. As you're talking, I'm thinking about when we were doing the match breakdown, and we were talking about how they were kind of settling down. The pace was slow enough where there were gaps where the commentary could get over the fact that they're trying to do something specific in the match. Or when we talked to AJ, that was also something that we talked about, how he had an opportunity to kind of talk over the matches and maybe remind guys that they needed to slow down and sell a body part, something along those lines. But as I'm kind of focused in on getting this training started, the slow down part is definitely going to be just a super high priority. I don't want people to get too far into this without having all of the basics perfected.
Mm.
I want to make sure that we're able to do all the things. And I always thought, like, training guys, my main focus was keep yourself safe, right? Understand if someone does something unsafe to you, to be able to try to protect yourself. And I think all the different roles, whether it's forward roll, shoulder rolls, things like that that I feel like are the things that are going to really keep you safe if you understand how to cushion your body and take some of the brunt of the fall a little bit differently and protect yourself. I think about so many different occasions. One that pops into my head is that someone told me that they were going to give me a belly to belly suplex, right? So I'm thinking, as big as I am, the way you would do that to me is you would essentially go sideways, right? Hook me, get out of my way, let me take my own bump. But instead, this person tried to throw me over their head. So I'm
Get over
I'm
it.
not prepared for that. But because I feel like I was trained so well when it came to the art of protecting myself and not getting injured, and I had to go through all the different progressions so much that it was very second nature when it came to that. So kind of long story short, the guy goes to throw me, I kind of shoulder roll out of it, protect myself, don't land on my head, things like that. But it was just people after this match were just asking me, like, are you okay, and all this stuff. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm fine. Oh, but what about that the belly to belly that you took right there? It's like, I protected myself, man. I am not getting hurt out there, because this is too important for me to get hurt, right? So knowing how to do that, and that comes right back to the speed in which you train people. And unfortunately, we've talked about how many schools there are out there, and it's just one of those things where it's just you have so many options. If I start going to a school and I'm like, oh, we're not getting to the cool stuff, I'm just going to go somewhere else. Then the people are going to go somewhere else, right? They're going to go somewhere else where they're going to train for 3 months and they're going to get a match, or which I just, you and I have talked about this, like, we feel like it needs to be, you need to log in a certain amount of hours, you need to get a certain amount of repetitions. It can't be like certain things are good enough, right? It has to be really, really good. It has to be near perfect, for us to be satisfied. So for me, I feel like, when we're putting people out of a school that I'm responsible for, that my name is on, that there isn't going to be shortcuts taken. We are definitely going to slow the fuck down. We're going to understand all of the very simple, basic stuff before we get into anything more complex. So as far as slowing down, man, that's just, I feel like that's been the mentality for me since the beginning. We were always preached how less is more, right? You don't have to do a bunch of stuff as long as the story that you're telling is making sense. So yeah, I don't know, like, and I've talked to you about this before as well. Like, you have the guys that come back from the WWE developmental system, And there's some sort of expectation from me for sure to go, hey, you were just there, you know all of the most recent stuff they're looking for, what the most recent stuff you guys are working on. So I felt like if I went to a camp, we went to Harley Race 2 years in a row, and I feel like every time we came back, we made a point of doing some sort of seminar and talking about all of the things that we learned there, going over different drills that we did there, because those were the things that they were, putting a lot of focus on. So obviously, those are the things that are the most important to get you to that next level. And one of those things was cutting a promo, like you just said, just slowing down. And I just remember telling a story about me and Adam being at FSW for this invitation only tryout. Uh, and I was telling a story about something that I heard one of the coaches. I was just trying to replicate this story. But instead of the two characters that were in the story, the two characters were me and Adam. So, and because of how slowly I drew out this whole story, everybody was engaged, and then when it came to the punchline of the story, everyone thought it was absolutely real. Like, they're like, oh shit, man, Adam's such an asshole, he did this thing, and it was about asking a girl to dance at a dance club, and she didn't have any legs, and pulling her out of this the booth that she was sitting in with her friends, and then just she falls on the floor and Adam just walks away. But I just think of the delivery and the pace of the story, had everybody buying into it, where when the punchline came, that's what it was. Everybody's like, oh, dude, I can see Adam doing that because of the way you've hyped this whole situation up. And the way you've told this story with, this is 100% serious. This is exactly what happened. And I'm just relaying the story to you guys. And then it just went over like that, where everyone was like, oh my God, I can't believe that happened. And then I was like, no, guys, I'm just bullshitting with you. That didn't really happen, So I think that's super important, and I know that you have, I feel like every show, guys are there early, not because you want them there early for whatever reason. It's because you have a list of promos, different segments. You guys have it laid out where you're going to have, this is what's going to go on the show, and these matches are going to happen, and these promos need to happen. And so you have to have that buy-in, right? You have to have those guys, like, you're working on promos, even though these guys think that they're just coming in and cutting a promo, and it's good enough. Time and time again, it's, hey, let's do this again. Here's what I'd like you to really emphasize. And I think, kind of subtly, or without them even knowing, that's what you're trying to accomplish. You're trying to get them to slow down, really get their point across, make their words mean something, draw the fans in. Let's talk people into the building, and that's the way that we're gonna fill buildings, and we're gonna get a bigger house, and then everyone's gonna get paid more. So yeah, and then obviously that leads right into storylines. People, we've experienced it just this last show for us, right? We had some guys that were like, hey, this is the storyline we want to go with. And instead of slowing down and telling this in-depth story of friendship and training together, and that they're both baby faces, they're going to try to out wrestle each other, and really stringing it out, to the point where you can really tell that story where, one guy kind of gets frustrated because his friend is out wrestling him. And we all know what that feeling is like, where you have been, playing a sport, right? You came up playing a sport with somebody, but they just are a little bit better than you. And it's frustrating because you're like, I'm putting in the work, how am I falling behind? How is this guy gaining an edge on me? And then you take a shortcut, right? And, we could have strung this story out for, 10, 12 minutes, but instead it was right to the action, boom, and it's 7 minutes long. So, the storytelling and the storylines, stringing those out longer and longer, like we've talked about before, how much of a story can I tell for how long, and how long can I keep the fans engaged where they want to continue to keep seeing it? So, I feel like I've taken up way too much time, but try to hit on all those topics.
Well, we were gonna dig through those topics slowly. So you kind of 10-minuted those, but don't worry, because I'm gonna redirect this back towards this. I get exactly what you're saying. It was a lot to digest, but I heard everything you're saying. So when we're talking about the training, so for these young guys out there, and I know I deal with it so many times in the training, I go, hey, ram your head into the turnbuckle. I make them wrestle the ghost a lot. And I know you know about wrestling the ghost. Sin actually did this at class with some guys, but I'm like, all right, ram your head in that turnbuckle. And a lot of people ram their head in the turnbuckle, and the guys over here on the left side, and they ram their head in the turnbuckle, and they go, they either whip right around or they turn to the left this way, right into the guy. And I tell them, why are you turning to the left when you get your head rammed into the fucking turnbuckle? Because you want to get, you just hit this thing that has a metal fucking actual, it's the turnbuckle padding with the metal turnbuckle behind it. And I'm like, you just hit this fucking thing and it dazes you. So you want to try to get away from your opponent. He's off. You got to go off that way. You got to go out that away. And then I make them whip themselves from the corner, but I make them do this to themselves. And I'll do it first. I'll be like, all right, I hit my head in the fucking turnbuckle. Oh, down the rope. Okay, I'm in this corner. Oh, shit, he grabbed me because I'm dazed. So I've let my boom, hit this corner. Now I walk to the next corner. Oh, take a shot down the rope. And I'll do this drill around 4 corners by myself. And I did it at class the other day, Paul, and I hit 2 minutes and 4 seconds on this drill, right? And I told everybody in class, I said, all right, you're not leaving this ring until you can match or beat my time. And I'm watching these guys, and I'm not even looking at the fundamental of what these fucking guys are doing. I'm just watching. And we were the same way, but they have no idea in their head, because when they think that they're going slow, they feel like they're going too slow. So they're moving faster, and really they need to go even slower. So I just find it funny when I'm training guys, I do everything in like slow motion. Here's this, grab here, tighten up, move here. And I make these guys do it in super slow motion. And it just blows my mind, because they just get in there and they're like, just doing this weird fucking, and I go, hey, slow the fuck down. You're missing every fucking real step to this. And you said it when you're in the training. You're trying to show these guys why we're reversing, how we're doing this, why we're hitting this, why we're selling, what we do when we strike the mat, how we sell. And they're going so fast, and they don't realize it's like, would you hop on I've never drove a Ducati in my life. I've never drove one. But if someone had a Ducati out there and they're like, yo, hey, Zach, you want to go hop on that Ducati and give it a shot? First off, I'd be like, fuck no. I have enough stress when I'm on 4 wheels. Why the fuck would I want to do it on 2? But it's like these guys are hopping out there, and they're just, the Ducati's on, and they're just hopping on it. And they're like, right, okay, kick this down. Yeah. And they just go, wing. It's like, dude, you're going to get fucked up. So, I mean, and one of the things I really like to, if they listen and they want to take the advice, it's like, when I say take your time, it's to let the audience digest what's going on. So if I got you on the mat, a lot of guys are rushing they're not communicating, and they're rushing in the ring to these spots that they've planned out in the back or whatever, but they're rushing everything. So a lot of these guys are actually, they're like, oh shit, we're up on our feet and we're in the rope, and I got to whip this guy out. I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to do. And they're trying to talk to this guy right before they whip him into the rope. And it's as simple as just holding on to the rope and hitting him with a strike and getting back down to the mat where we need to go. And a lot of guys will be down in the headlock, excuse me, trying to talk to the guy. And it's like, it's quick. It's everything in wrestling is subtle. Whipping guys into the corner and then fucking running across the whole ring at them. It's like, no, bang, bang. I charged you right in. The boot got up, the elbow, whatever the fuck. It's subtle. But when you're calling something, a lot of guys don't know, if the guy rolls you up, now you're upside down looking at the ceiling and the ref is counting, that spot should be called around that area right there, because you can't see nothing. The ref's covering it with the count. You're upside down staring at the lights. The guy's rolling you up. And that's why it's called a spot. It's not called a high spot at that point, because you're just telling that guy, all right, we need a little bit of action right here. And when you hit those moves we've talked about in the past, okay, so I hit this move, let the guy sell it so the commentary can get it over. But for these young guys, it's no, hit that move, not just so the commentary can get it over. Hit that move so you can go to this side of the building. And then the guys on this side and the guys on that side. And it gives us time to interact with the audience so they can digest, whether it be a tackle that you just knocked this fucking human being, this grown man, down off of his ass down onto the mat, and and now he's selling for you, and let them take in that when you run into a guy, just like if a football player got smashed while he had the ball, a lot of them, if they get too hard, especially a helmet to helmet contact, they're gone. That's a concussion. You know what I mean? Put them on the old electric cart and get their ass off the field. So for me, when you're talking in the ring specifically, I liked what you were saying about, we're going to slow this down. And I know we've seen it in the past too, where some new guys will come in and they'll start doing the rolls, and they'll start doing, the rope bump or whatever. And we'll be 30 minutes into a 2-hour seminar. And then the next thing you know, they decide, I'm going to start showing them something that we don't need to be showing them right now, because I don't want to lose these guys maybe, or I'm going to get bored. And the thing is, you're going to lose a student if you rush them too fast. And I don't just mean you're going to lose that student if you rush them too fast, like they're not going to be training anymore. I mean, you're going to lose them all the way around, because if you rush that student, if you don't slow that dude or that chick the fuck down in this process, then once they get out there, they're going to be a deer in the headlights, and they're never going to learn any of that stuff until someone comes along that they'll listen to teach them. So on that slowdown aspect, and you were talking about the promo and the storytelling of it too. But as you're training somebody, and you're teaching them these basics and fundamentals of this, where does the point come when you feel like you have to raise your voice and get a little stern with the student on the process of the learning in the training?
Well, I mean, I think it's, if you get to that point where they're not taking it seriously, they're not going 100%. I look at it the exact same way as, I'm coaching basketball as well, and it's, we literally just had this conversation with our kids, and it's like, if you're just going through the motions when you're training, then you're just going to go through the motions when you get into a match, right? You can't just do something repetitively at half speed and expect when you get into the situation where you need to go full speed, that all of a sudden you're going to be able to make that adaptation. They say you practice like you play, and vice versa. Um, it's one of those deals where you got to be going 100%. And for me, like I said, it's about safety, right? So if it gets to the point where I need to raise my voice, that's probably what it's going to entail. It's going to be like, hey, you're going to get fucking hurt if you're not doing it the way that we're asking you to do it. And I think for me, it's attack the mat and things like that, right? Make sure you're landing flat, you're landing solid. Make sure you're spreading the impact out, throughout hands, arms, feet. You're uh, limiting the impact on your lower back and things like that, right? Because these are the things that make these guys hobble around when they're older. Is they're taking big bumps and they're getting hurt, instead of slowing down and doing things the right way. And I think in a lot of cases that translates to the laziness in practice. You're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. You're not taking it seriously because you're getting bored, or you can't wait till we get to when are we doing the shooting start press or whatever. And it's like, you need to crawl before you walk here. We need to make sure that we're getting all the basic stuff down. And if it's a case where you're in too much of a hurry to make sure you're perfecting the little stuff, then we probably don't want you around, man, because you're going to end up getting hurt. And I don't want that, where somebody is going to be like, oh, this guy's the shits, but he came from the school in Reno. And in most cases, it's going to be because they came out and we've talked about before. We're going to take people to shows. We're going to make sure that they're doing the right things and understanding. Jump in there and do ring crew, right? Sell concessions, take photos, whatever somebody needs you to do is going to build your value just that much more. So the fear is that if people aren't taking it seriously and you're taking them to shows, just kind of showing them about paying dues, that they're going to get that idea in their head, like, oh, well, I need to be going faster. I need to find somewhere else. And and who knows if they're, you just talked about this past weekend where people were like, oh, hey, you're a big dude. You should get in this match, right? We should give you an opportunity right now. And your guys are like, nah, I'm not ready, man. Coach will let me know when I'm ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the fear, man. If you don't, put your thumb down and push these guys and make sure they're doing the right things, that's when these guys are going to start getting hurt, right? Going half-assed.
Yeah, well, it was like one thing you said, perfect. You want to perfect things. One thing that I thought was perfect is I'm not a big fan of lucha libre, man. I'm not a big fan of Mexican wrestling. I think I like the mask. I like the ambiance. There's obviously a big draw, in
Right.
this, and those fans really do come out and support. And they're heroes to those guys. But one thing was like Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio. If you go back and watch them, if you watch them before, if you watch them in ECW in Mexico and then you watch them in WCW, but by the time Eddie and Rey started really working and was on SmackDown, they just incorporated that style with the American style and storytelling so well. But there was I would tell all these young guys to go watch Eddie and Rey in WWE, because once they got into that system and that program, they still did the same stuff, but there would be a point where they would really be selling, and Eddie would be letting Rey sell what had just happened, and he would be working the audience on television, and then 20,000 people, and they would be eating it up. And then he would slowly pick Rey up And then bam, they would burst off the ropes and they would give you something. They would give you a cool burst real quick, and then they'd go back to selling. And I think a lot of these kids nowadays, and we talked about the ear for it. We always talk about the ear for it, but there's you're luring these fans in to what's going on, and then you're gonna give them a burst. So everything seems like this intense struggle, and then you give them a little bit of action, and then you knock the guy down, and you let the audience start to get behind him, and you're slowly building these people up. And I always tell everybody, you're gonna come back, and when you do come back, all that shit that you want to do in this match that you're trying to do from the time the fucking bell rings to the time the fucking bell rings, save it for that comeback, man. Blow your wad when you come back. Let the baby face just blow the roof off the place. He's finally got the sympathy. He's got the crowd behind him. Now you can let it all out, man. Drain that energy bar, drain that tank. You got a head scissor, you got a tornado DDT. We talked about the missile drop kick before, springboards. Nobody's ever won a match doing it except for Edge injuring the Barriqua guy in his debut, which was very unfortunate for a debut on national television. But no one's ever done a plancha over the top rope or through the ropes and knocked the guy unconscious, picked his lifeless body up and rolled him back in the ring and pinned him. So it's like, that's cool. And we talk about that, like, why do people do? Well, there should be one guy on a show that does that. That should be like every card. There should be a guy that does that or does the moonsault. But if too many people are doing this, then it doesn't hold, man. It doesn't hold with the audience because they've already seen it. And we had talked about before. I always said, Adam Thornstow's a gymnast, right? And they would call Adam's name in the ring, and he would do this real slow moonsault during his fucking entrance. Adam Thornstow. But he started doing that in the ring. Like when the guy was on his back, he would do this real slow, beautiful moonsault and land perfectly on him and get a 2 or a 2.5 or whatever. And then I started seeing on the same cards, the same guys like Carl Fredericks or Jeff Cobb or somebody, they would do that move. And I'd see younger guys do that on the same card as Adam. And I would go up to him and I'd be like, hey, man, why'd you do that? And they go, well, because I like it. And I said, yeah, cool. But the guy who does it best just did it on the card. And you're never going to do it better than him. So there's no point in doing it just because you can get your body around and do it. Because it's never going to be better. It's like I was listening to fucking Jake the Snake Roberts. And I think JBL was talking about him, and he said, Jake, what do you do? I mean, all these guys are doing the DDT like it's a headlock, man. He's like, what makes your DDT any different than theirs? And he said, because my DDT beats people.
Yep.
And I remember I've used the super kick my whole career, the side thrust kick. And I do it a little bit different than Michaels does because I've got my own variation over all the years. But I talk to the guys I'm wrestling about the way they sell it. I don't like them to take just a snap bump. I like to find creative ways that they can sell these things, like their knees are going out on them and stuff like that. So it looks like they really got knocked unconscious and they're enabled. And I remember I was on a card and some young kids started coming up to me and going, hey, man, I know the super kick is your finisher. Is it okay if I use it in a match? And I would always think in my head, like, dude, you're such a fucking idiot because you just came up to me and said, I know this is your finishing move. Do you care if I use it once or twice or 3 times in my fucking match? And I would tell him, no, go for it. And I would tell him, no, go for it. because, and I would get it over in interviews and promos too. I would be like, yeah, everybody's out here on this card throwing that super kick, but notice theirs don't even get a 2 count. When I kick somebody, it's lights out. They don't get back up. So I made sure that I covered my ass when I was doing my if I knew somebody was going to use my move and they had stupidly asked me if they could do it, I'd be like, sure, do it. Because if you're going to throw 3 or 4 of those things and you're not going to beat the guy with it, and then I'm going to throw one and my guy's going to sell it and actually lay on his back and take the fall and sell after the fall like it's a finishing move, your opponent's got to put it over too like it's the finishing move, man. And that's all a part of slowing it down. Because when you hit me with a choke slam, whether you hit me in the ring or a table, and damn it, I'd rather go through a table than in the ring from that height, to be honest. Like, people are like, "Why you want Paul to choke slam you through a table?" Yes, please. That's going to brace my fall, and hitting that mat from 7 to 9 feet in the air is, when a high school schoolboy bump, is going to hurt. It's the first thing that goes on your body, buddy. When you're training, it's the old high school boy bump. You're like, I don't want to take that no more. But I noticed when you would hit a lot of guys with the choke slam, they would, even if you were beating them with it. And I want to hear your opinion on this, because that's your move. So these young guys would take your choke slam and you'd pin them, but then they would get up and they'd walk away. And the one thing that I made sure I never did when I was in the ring with you is I made sure that as long as I possibly could in front of that audience after you choke slam me, I never recovered from your choke slam. So the audience knew, if this guy, if the wrecking ball hits primetime with this choke slam, Zach's not going to win. He's losing. So my story isn't about attacking your leg or anything else. My only chance to beat you, and a lot of guys don't even realize the story of this, my only chance to beat you is, and it sounds so stupid, is to avoid that move. I cannot take that move. If I can get through this match, no matter if it's 5 minutes or 25 minutes, as long as I don't take one of those, I stand a pretty good chance of possibly beating you. And that is my only chance. So that becomes the story we're trying to tell. Tell me, just give some of these young guys advice, man, because I know that I've seen so many people bury your choke slam, and they go up high and they take a hell of a bump for you, but they rush afterwards. They don't, the aftercare, the after sell of what you just did to them, it's completely just gone.
Right. Well, I mean, I think that there's definitely those things where it's and I think it goes back to training, right? If you're not training your students to respect that, and if someone's going to hit you with a finish that you're debilitated as a result, then you're not really. I mean, you're not really helping that guy out, right? You're not selling that finish. You're not making it seem like a devastating thing to take, right? And we talked about, that in the past, where it's just like, if you, we talked in the match that we watched, right? That you hit him with the go to sleep and you fall on him, and you said, "Hey, that's his finish. Don't even, vaguely kick out at all," right? That's one of those things that you do. You hear these old school guys. It's like, oh, I kicked out at the last second, even though he had already pinned me, right? Because I didn't want to look weak. It's like, dude, the guy just hit you with his finish. Who cares if you look weak, right? You're supposed to lose to the guy's finish. So it's, to me, it's just it's a respect thing. It's one of those deals where if I'm taking your finish and I can sell it for you, where everybody goes, well, shit, man, if you get hit with that, you're not getting up. That's where, we talked about false finishes versus near falls, right? That's where you build something where now something can be a false finish because the fans are conditioned that if you get hit with that move, you're not getting up. And if you can lay there and sell that, the longer the better, right? The more debilitating, the better. If you're hitting those finishes, so I guess the one that pops into my head was the time that I wrestled Mitch Valentine, and he, rolled and got up real quick, and somebody's like, "We got to give him another one because this guy doesn't understand what's going on," right? So it's like, then you grab him that next time, and you say, "You better fucking stay down, or this is going to get worse," right?
Yeah,
So
we're gonna keep
yeah,
doing
right. So, and you've talked about that before. Like you just talked about the ramming the head into the turnbuckle. You've talked about that about chops, right? I chop a guy. If the guy's not trying to get away from me, if the guy just stands in that corner, I guess he wants me to give him another one, right? And if he doesn't move again, apparently it doesn't hurt. So he's not trying to
do
get
it
away
all
from it.
day.
He's not trying to avoid it. So apparently you got to give him another one,
I'll
right?
do it all day.
So
Do it all
right,
day.
exactly. So you might hit him with
Wham! You don't
19.
go
You might
anywhere.
hit somebody with
Bam!
19 punches, right? Yeah, if they're not gonna try to get away. Yeah. So what's funny is that you talked about the super kick and protecting it, and people wanting to use the same move in the same match. And we talked about a show, recently where it was the Blue Thunder Bomb, right? Somebody used the Blue Thunder Bomb just within the match, and then later on, somebody else uses it, but it's the finish. And my comment to you was, well, I guess that first one sucked, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your Blue Thunder Bomb is the shits, but this other person, they obviously hit it the right way, and that's why it's a finish. So that's I think that's for me, that is a pretty elementary thought process to have is make the guy's finish look good, because that's what you're looking to do, man. You're looking to make the other guy look good, right? We talk about getting over. A lot of people think about getting over means I'm winning, but you and I look at it in a completely different way, right? It's like, I want to make this guy look good. I want to make this guy's offense look good, right? So even for me, it's even if I miss a couple things, if it's I shoot a guy in and I miss a splash, I'm going to be selling that because that big eye bolt on the turnbuckle underneath that little thin turnbuckle pad, that thing hit me right in the middle of the chest, and that knocked the wind out of me a little bit, hurt my sternum. So regardless, if sometimes choke slam happens after that, and I'm going to fall back and be like, oh, I'm still feeling the effects, that big metal bolt hitting me in the middle of the chest. So, you got to register that as well, even though maybe that's the finish of the match. Just a quick, so the fans know, like, yeah, that's still hurting right there, but I'm going to cover. I just think that's key, that you help a guy out like that. If a guy's punching you in the face, you should be registering that. That shouldn't just go away when you're on offense. And I think that has to do with the taking the match slowly and thinking about those things that have happened to you earlier in the match, and making sure that people don't forget that your opponent put some damage on you.
Well, there's key things like if you're going to hit the turnbuckle and burst out of it and hit somebody, get the burst, okay? Sell the turnbuckle like you hit it after you do the burst. Like,
Sure.
boom, I hit it, I came out, I nailed the guy, and then now I'm down to selling the turnbuckle. Let's go ahead and take that opportunity there. I mean, when I look at some of this stuff that goes on in the ring, there's no everybody like registers and they try to sell something, and there's a lot of the goofy sells. Like there's the tornado DDT and it's a face plant. smash, you're done. But then these guys started doing the headstand. Can I bounce off my head? And that's my favorite one. Oh, I took a move and I sat up. No. The old cartoony one. Hey, here's a power bomb. Boom. Ooh, hello. Gonk. It's like, nah, man. If you're gonna take this thing, don't forget that you're not just selling because you're getting hit. The guy delivering the move also can offensively sell what he's just done to you to make the people believe. It's like the forearms at the end of the match. These guys are just boo, yay, boo, yay, boo, yay, boo, boo, boo. And it's like, so you take mixed martial arts right there. If the match is stretched out 20, 25 minutes in mixed martial arts, those guys at the end of a fight, when Max Holloway points to the center of that thing and they start slugging and he knocks someone out 25 minutes into a 5-rounder, but these guys are hitting each other at the end and you're like, damn, why aren't they knocking each other out? Well, because they fought for 25 minutes. So what looks like they're really connecting isn't the same connection as the first 30 seconds to 2 minutes of the match. So that drawn out, well, boom, we're going to just exchange at the end to see maybe if we can get one lucky shot. I'd like to see a professional wrestling match in that way. I'd like to hear, 5 minutes have elapsed in this contest and these guys pull up each other and they just start exchanging these forearms with each other. And one guy gets knocked out and the other guy lands on top of him. 1, 2, 3. And then the fans would be like, holy shit. Like, I believe that was the finish to me and JJ Perez when I won the belt when I go back. And Robert Thompson, the Brown Bomber, gave it to me. He said, man, you guys are going to exchange at the end, 25 minutes into this thing, and you're going to hit him with the final blow, and you're going to fall on top of him, and that's how you're going to pin him. And I remember I was like, nah, man, I want him to go for the Shining Wizard, and I want to pop up to my feet and super kick him out of midair and frog splash him. And he's like, yeah, I know you want to do that, but this is what we want you to do. So as a performer, and I had been in APW so long, I wanted to win that belt. And it was a great honor to win it from JJ Perez. I learned so much from JJ working in the ring. That's where I really learned to work on the fly. And I just remember at that point in my time, I was like 23 or 24 light years ago. And I just remember, the Bomb telling me, hey, man, this is what we want you to do. And it was one of those things in my head. I'm like, well, I'm gonna do what you want me to do. And now I'm gonna go out here and I'm gonna do it. And it wasn't that it was wrong. It wasn't like I was like, oh, this is bullshit. I don't want to do this because it don't make sense. It did make sense. It was like the third or fourth match of it. But we just get into this shit so much where everybody is rushing everything so fast. And it's like, you're actually rushing so fast that the audience you're not able to get the crowd behind you. And it goes into detail, and we're getting close to that marker. But I wanted to talk about you for a minute, because I remember one time Rick Luxury telling me, hey, man, I know you're developing these stories and you're laying it out for these guys. And this has been going on for years. I've always been this way. And he goes, you got to quit telling guys the full plan and that they're actually going to win a belt and then not giving them the belt. And I said, why would I have to do that? Because I have every intention of going through with giving them the belt. And I always go back to you. And this is why we always got along, but this was where my real respect for you as a performer in this business came from, was that we had built that up. We talk about it, choke slam through the table during the contract signing, boom, almost sold out the conventions, a municipal auditorium, whatever. And we go to the count out, and you were supposed to come back with Rotten and beat me at the biggest show of the year, our WrestleMania, and you were supposed to be the champ. And we always say, well, something came up and you weren't able to do that. And I had told you, we had followed this layout, and I said, this is where you're going to win the belt from me. And you like, yep, I'm winning the belt. And you weren't able to make the big event where you were supposed to win the belt. So we had to move. Yeah, it fell off the story. And I just remember I've heard so many guys cry and complain, and they go, Zack promised me the Inter California championship belt, and then he didn't stick to it. And I'm like, no, you missed shows. So we had an agreement of what you were supposed to do, and you didn't do it. And I just remember you being that first guy that I told something to like that, and you were unable to fulfill that commitment, and you didn't win the belt. And I just remember you never whined about it, you never cried about it, you never held anything against me or any resentments or anything. And I just remember at that point, I was like, fuck, I'm working with a true professional here, because this guy understands. And a lot of guys don't understand that, because Rick would always tell me, quit telling these guys, well, what do you want me to tell them, Rick? I'm trying to build something with these guys. And I'm going, the plan is to put this belt on you. And all this talent hears is fast track. They're like, oh, I'm going to win the belt. And they need to slow this down in their mind, is what I was talking about in the story. We just kind of were just talking, which was great. But in the story of the thing, they don't think like, okay, this is where we're starting with me, and wherever it ends is where I win the belt. But along the way, I have to show up, and I have to fucking do what this promotion is asking of me to do until we get here. And then I'm going to win the belt. Then I'm going to get the push. Then I'm going to go over and build to something else. And I just think it's funny, because a lot of these guys, they get in the business, and it's like, all right, you win the belt, and then you're going to hold the belt until we put the belt on you. And then the guy who was the champion never comes back around to create any type of real rivalry. And I just, me and Rick had a rivalry. I think it was, who was it? Because I know Rick and Adam at SPW did the best of 7.
Yeah, so they did best of 7. I think Adam and Ugly had done it the year before, and then I think they went to like a 3-way best of 7 the year after.
What a rivalry, right?
So yeah, you know what? And I think that's like, you can't think of a better string this thing out over the course of, so that's a best of 7. So that's over the course of 3 months. And I don't know I don't remember if it started at their anniversary show and then worked into something else, but I think that's what happened. So
how did it went the whole year?
I don't remember exactly. You'd have to talk to Sir Samurai or Ugly or somebody about that. But it's I think that's a fantastic way, because it started as a regular match. Then it was some small stipulation match. Because it was test your metal type of thing, right? We're going to do a regular match. Let's see who can out wrestle who. Let's go to a submission match. Who can submit who, right? And then the stakes just got a little bit higher each time, right? And I think the whole stipulation thing, that's a topic for another time. But really, the whole thing is, we're building this story over the course of several months, and that's what you are looking to do in general, right? You want to string a story out, slow down and let the fans digest it. So so I mean, I think that's a great way to go, and that builds those rivalries. And
wouldn't that be cool though? Wouldn't that be cool if, like, let's just say best of 7? Wouldn't that be cool to see, like like with the Red Sox and the Yankees, 2 guys are like at best of 7 for the belt, or best of 7 to get a shot at the belt at a major show, where the heel goes up 3 matches to none, and the baby face comes back, and or vice versa, the baby wins the first 3 and the heel's got to fight back or whatever. It ties it up at 3, and then you got to go to 7. There's so much you can do with nothing. You don't need to sleep with somebody's mom. You don't need to fuck somebody's girlfriend. You don't need to feed roofies to the dog or what. You don't have to do these type of things, man. You speak of the best of seven. You speak of SPW, Paul. Our next guest on the show is we got Drake Nelson coming up, but then we're gonna have the big ugly JD Bishop on here. We got a real good topic for him. We're closing in on the time, but also future guest Adam Thornstowe. We're gonna have Adam on here. You hooked that up with Adam. He's gonna be on here. And today I just talked with James Haight, and I think that's gonna be I'm really excited about these next three guests coming up, and we got a lot of guests coming up. Real quickly for us, again, we talk about development. Every starting January 3rd on Friday, every first and third Friday, we got Friday night prospects coming up, and it's been awesome because all the promoters and a lot of wrestlers from all these indie companies have hit us up, and that's really going to benefit the WCWF. It's going to benefit the RWF. It's going to benefit PCW. It's going to benefit Next Level, the Ugly Dojo, SPW. I mean, East Bay Pro, you name it. Everyone's going to benefit from everybody working and getting more work with this. Tell us a little bit about what you got coming up before we close this mother out.
Yep. So I mean, we're going straight into training on the 1st, and then we're setting up for our February show. We always take the last month and the first month off of the year, just based off of weather. We want people to be able to get here and make those appearances so we can have solid shows. So that's what we got going on. But man, what an exciting opportunity for these younger guys, man, to get some chances to not only get some extra work, but hopefully it's going to be a bunch of us who've been around for a while, giving feedback. And ultimately, you know what it's going to help these kids do? It's going to help them go over like we are. But we're going over.
Yeah. We're going over. I got some names for you real quick, though. I'm going to give some shout outs, man, because I've been talking to these kids on the phone all day. The Bad Man, Eric Dennis, Jude Law, Bryson Souza, Cairo Leon, Travis Alexander, and I got a few of my guys that a couple of my guys that haven't been in the ring yet. They're gonna get those opportunities too. And Paul, we are going over, and everybody else is going over. And this is a topic right here that I kind of threw at you. We didn't really have any bullet points, so we were shooting out the fucking hip for a little bit, but it's something I'm not even done talking about. As you were talking, I got so much to talk about. We got to shut this shit down because I'll continue to talk and I'll break my cardinal rule because we're at 1:02 and 38 seconds. I'm Zack Primetime Reeb, not Reba. I'm Zack Primetime Reeb. That's the 7-foot wrecking ball, Paul Isadora. And we're going over.
All right, man.